Mr. Ramesh Shapiji, good afternoon.
Namaskar.
Namaskar, and welcome. Welcome to Kathmandu.
Thank you.
Is this your first time?
No, this is my third trip.
A third trip. When was your first time?
About 10 years ago, and
All right.
then about 3 years ago.
You came on a private visit, or were you doing any
Yeah,
project?
the first one was a private one. I went and saw the sunrise and
The sunset and sunrise at Nagarkot. But you've never done any filming here in Nepal or
not yet.
Kathmandu? Not yet.
not yet.
All right. Yeah, it's an absolutely pleasure. Welcome to Nepal once again.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, we're meeting at a very tumultuous time. The world is
No.
going through. They're hell bent on destruction and domination. I think the onus lies on the creative people. To spread their good words about collaboration, humanity, human emotions, human value, just to offset the balance.
Absolutely agreed.
Right. And I think we should speak up and then
We
spread
should
our
try, yes.
narration through our arts, through our...
Yeah, because you have a voice, you have people listening,
Right.
and you have that command. So whatever you say, it will carry some weight.
Whatever you say will also carry a lot of weight.
Of course.
So thank you for your presence. I feel really absolutely honored and privileged to be here with you, having this conversation. I haven't met you before, but I of course know of you. You have a very illustrious career, illustrious film making life that you have spent, and not only you, your father as well. Could you tell us a little bit about you? Most of us know of you pretty well, but nevertheless, can you tell us where you were born, how did it start, and how did your family got into films?
I think the best way I can say this is I was born in 1944 in Karachi. And
So before the partition?
yes, and about 1947, we moved here immediately after the partition. I was only 3 years old, so my memory is not very sharp on that. But yes, we started out here. My father went into the construction business, buildings.
In Mumbai?
In Mumbai. And it was a very strange time because when he advertised a building and a flat, at that time, you were either a landlord or a tenant. So there was no purchase as such. Purchase in a small way. A big bungalow or the thing belongs to one person? Yes. Otherwise. Because the people would come there and they would say, this wall, this side is mine, and that side, somebody else. Okay. So it was a very strange way, but he started selling. Then 1951, he made a film called Saza. My father.
Your father did. His good name was G.P. Shippy.
That's right.
Right. He's a very prominent filmmaker as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Devanand, Nimmi, and Shyama. So with these three, he made a film. And when he met, because of his construction thing, he kept meeting people from the film line who wanted to buy. Raj Kapoor would come.
How did you decide to get into making films from construction? Because those are completely poles apart.
Because he was selling.
He was making money.
People were making, people were coming there to take so then that's how he got.
Oh, he started off as an investor.
Yes, as investors they came in, and that's how he got into it. Well, after that, I was lucky that he was already in, and I worked for about 8 years from 61 to 69. I was just working on the sets in every department possible. And then in 69, I launched my own film, Andaz. That's how.
So right from day one, you were inserted into the filmmaking scenario because of your dad. You didn't do anything else in life before that?
No. I went to London in '61 to do something, to maybe commerce, the college there, but I couldn't get into it. My heart and mind was there, so I rang up my father and I said, "Can I come back?" He did not take even 1 second. He said, "Sure, if you're not happy, come back." That was.
And the first film that you made, was it because you had the passion for filmmaking, or it was like a family business kind of thing?
Not at all. It was absolutely my passion. Because everybody said, "Why are you making a film like this? A widow and a widower? You shouldn't make this kind of film here. It may be a nice film, but people won't like it." So.
Andaz, I remember, was very well received, especially that song on a motorcycle.
That's right. Zindagi Ek Safar Hai.
Yeah, that motorcycle. I mean, I couldn't sing to save my life. But
yeah, two iconic ones, because that was the theme of the film. Hai na bolo bolo, papa ko mummy se, mummy ko papa se pyar hai. So they were both without a partner, and that's how they come together.
So how did that come about? I mean, it was the storyline was a little bit anomaly for its time, and did you come up with this idea yourself? Are you also the writer of your own films, or?
Well, you see films, you're inspired, but there's no direct connection. But just felt that we've seen plenty of films in the normal. Why not try something which is a little different? And that was the reason I said, yes, let's do that. Then, luckily, it worked. But I'll tell you, in the smaller towns, it was still not accepted.
Because of the storyline.
That storyline. And that told me, listen a bit. So you've got to listen to what people say also. But you've got to take a step forward.
But yeah, so those days, the filmmaker had to be extremely conscious about the social values and things like that, and what they would accept, what they would not accept.
True.
Including how you dress especially the leading actresses and all that.
Yes.
So that was your first film, Andaz?
That's
and
right.
And that was made in
69. It was released in 1971.
Okay. And then the ball started rolling after that?
Went on to make Sita Aur Geeta. Again,
that was a kind of a maverick work as well. No?
Yes.
Sita Aur Geeta, double role.
Yes.
Were you fascinated with Hema Malini from day one, or?
Well, she was.
Or did you have a good rapport with her?
Yes,
or?
yes. She was very, very lovely. Very, but she was we were dubbing for Andaz post production, and I said, "Would you like to play this double role on the mic?" I was telling her. She was inside, and
the set of Andaz.
she was dubbing for the end of the film.
So you're offering her another project?
Yes, on the mic. She said, "What? You think I can do it?" I said, "Yes, if you put your heart into it, we can do it." And that's how Sita Aur Geeta came about. Yes, I was very fortunate to have Salim Javed with me. Absolutely brilliant writers. And we moved on. And again, Sholay was a two-line idea. It's all, at that time, it was an army officer and two cadets, and they were mischievous guys, and so he calls them later in life to help for his personal revenge. We just converted into the police, that's all.
And you did all this at a relatively young age, didn't you? Like you were like in your mid-20s, or?
I was, at exactly 21, I started Andaz.
When you were 21?
25.
25, okay.
I was 25 and I started Andaz. Then in Sita Aur Geeta, I was 27, 28. Then 29, I started Sholay.
Sholay, you started at 29.
9 and finished in 31. The film was released.
Now that you've mentioned Sholay, you and Sholay are so synonymous. You know, like everybody, when they think about Sholay, they think about you. When they think about you, they think about Sholay. How did that, such a, for its time, it was larger than life. Those days, mostly cinema used to be made in CinemaScope and 35 mm, and you went into 70 mm. And the storyline was slightly, you know, different as well from your normal Hindi film storyline. And what I can tell by looking at Sholay is maybe there's an element of a Western movie influence in there.
You're absolutely right.
But you gave such an Indian flavor to it that the Indian audience totally lapped it up.
I was always fascinated by the way the Western films were made, and those
You used to watch a lot
in
of
particular.
Clint Eastwood films?
Yes, first the Clint Eastwood films, then the films like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Also, there was one very nice one as well. And all these westerns gave a wonderful kind of feel at that time, and so it was not easy to adapt to Indian, the Western, but because we had our dacoits and they operated in the Chambal Valley.
They could be the baddies, yeah.
And so the stories of officers going out to get them, but they were very, I guess circumstances took them to that point.
But the way you presented the film and the storyline was so amazing and so different from the kind of films that were being made in that era. You know, like the most prominent thing that I would say of Sholay was that you brought every character to life. When people think of Sholay, they definitely think of you as well, but they think of not just the protagonist, they think of all the characters, from Kalia to Mosti to even the horse, the Basanti. They remember everything. So you brought so much of life to each and every character, whether they were doing the leading role or the side role, but everybody had a prominence present in that film. How did you manage that?
I think I was lucky that from the idea we began with, it turned out to be a very good script. And with that script, while scripting, had a lot of these actors in mind. And very fortunately, all of them agreed to come in. It's very difficult for such a big, so many different actors to come in, big actors. Otherwise, they'll worry what will happen.
Was Amitabh Bachchan ji relatively new during that time, or was he?
He had just started to come up. His film Zanjeer was released after he signed with us for Sholay.
So you got him cheap.
I made up for it in the next film. He said, "Okay, you got me cheap there. Now what are you going to give me here?" Okay, so much. It was agreed. But I'll have to say one thing at this moment, that Nepal is lucky. It's got Dharmendra and Amitabh Bachchan both in one. From what I've heard, it has to be that. You're two in one. Two superstars in one superstar.
Two in one equals to almost nothing, you know. Like it's an abstract form.
But
nevertheless, thank you so much. But then tell us more about Sholay. It's such a magnum opus of yours. And how did you do the characterization? How did you come up with the story line?
As I said, I was very lucky to have Salim Javed, who came to me towards the end of the making of Andaz. Halfway through, they joined me, and then Sita or Gita they wrote Sita or Gita. And then, as far as Sholay was concerned, we worked on the script, but believe me, it's very...
did you give Salim Javed ji an idea to work upon?
They had an idea, one-line idea.
Oh, they had it themselves?
Yes,
okay.
And it was with somebody else who didn't want to make it. Manmohan Desai, I think. He said, this is not my kind of film. So he passed it, passed by, gave a pass to it, so you could take it. And they narrated these 2 lines of an army officer with 2 cadets, and he calls them for his. So I think I was lucky that I had these 2 wonderful writers with me, and we were able to bring together a script which had all these elements in it, and all of us are always inspired by good cinema.
When they were writing, did you tell them that you wanted a Western kind of style to it?
Yes, absolutely.
You told them that?
Yes.
Did you give them any references? Or?
Yes, all these that I told you about, Butch Cassidy, like these 2 are like the Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, and one of them dies at the end, if you remember Butch Cassidy also.
That was Paul Newman and Robert.
That's right, that's right. So that's how it developed, and it developed well, and all the pieces started falling together, the actors coming in. And then, as I said, I was very keen that I go to a different location. My art director took me down south, and near Bangalore, about 50 kilometers away from Bangalore, was this, all these rocks. The moment I saw them, I said, this is it. The den would be here, and the village would be just close by somewhere, and this is where it could all take place. And then we built a village there.
So how long did the homework take place before you actually started shooting?
About 6 months between the idea and the thought coming, and we got everyone together, and by the coincidentally, the film started on the 2nd of October. Gandhiji's.
Somewhere in 1974 or 75, 73?
No. 73, October 2nd.
And then you had such prominent actors in that film. How difficult was it to coordinate them? I mean, how does it work in Indian cinema when you have so many prominent actors and actresses in your set? How does the coordination work? Is it a difficult task?
I think because there were well-defined roles, so there was no real fear that everyone knew. Because if you remember the climax of Sholay, one thing leads to the other, and each actor gets to play his part in such a way that if Dharamji, when he moves away for a short while, and Amitabh takes the bullets. So he dies, and then he vows vengeance, and he drives, and he does the climax of killing all of them, right down to when Sanjeev Kumar comes and says, no, this is mine. Gabbar is mine. You leave Gabbar to me, because that was why I called you for this. So it all fell in such a way that everyone had his piece, and everyone was satisfied with what he was doing.
They all felt justified.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no doubt as a maker, you were a maverick when you were making Sholay, but, over the years, how does it feel? I mean, if I may ask you this, that, people usually remember the performance and the performers more than the maker and the director. Do you see a quiet injustice in there? Like, when you talk about Sholay, they remember Gabbar Singh, maybe Viru, and what's the other guy's name? Jay and Viru and Hema Malini and this.
Surma Bhopali and...
And over the line, somehow the maker gets sort of like, shattered. Do you see a kind of a quiet injustice in there as a maker?
Well, yes and no, because yes, the credit, but it's very natural as far as an audience is concerned to identify with the actor, because that's who the story is being told through. So they become real life and they become the real characters. So for them, that is the first thing that hits them. The people behind the scene, yes, okay, but there have been chaos of Mughal-e-Azam and one film, and he's remembered as a... And of course, Mehboob Khan, which is Mother India, and so there are a few.
You have left, no doubt, an indelible mark in the Hindi cinema. You will always be remembered. But I was just taking this out because most of the time when you have big stars and the movie is successful, they remember it as the star's film rather than the maker's film.
True.
Whereas initially, the project is the maker's baby, actually. That's where it starts.
Yes, I'm happy that you're asking me this question, because you're the star and I'm the director. And actually, if you do a film together, you think it'll be a conflict? No. I want to make a wonderful film, and if you stand out as an actor, but it's the same thing. We want it to work. We want the people to like it. So I think.
But Sholay, I believe, was not, initially it was sort of like received very lukewarm, like it didn't have a great response.
Again, unfortunately, I have to defer. There was no such thing.
Oh, there wasn't?
No. The trade papers headlined disaster. Every week. Disaster 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For 5 weeks they hammered that this kind of a film, no way. And because they'd already given it once, taking it back was not easy. But finally, in the 6th week, they admitted that yes, it's a big hit. And there is no such thing that, because in the 2nd and 3rd week, people were repeating the dialogues. Right. So in the theater, we knew this is a repeat audience. A repeat audience doesn't come if they haven't liked it the first time. They're not going to come a second time. So that's...
But do you remember around that time, the same time, there was another film that was released with very little budget but did extremely well. I think it was Jai Santoshi Ma, or...
Yes, on the very same day.
Yeah. So what was your reaction to that film? I mean, here you are with a multi-star, with a great budget, larger-than-life presentation film, and there's another film which is low budget and just comes out and it...
As a matter of fact...
And comes out with a bang.
When the trade papers spoke like this about Sholay, they also mentioned that, look at this film, Jai Santoshi Ma. At this budget, it's a blockbuster. And Sholay was demoted. But then, of course, they...
Yeah, but Sholay, of course, lasted much longer, and it's become a history, and it becomes a milestone of Hindi cinema. Rameshji, can you, you've experienced so many periods and so many phases in Indian cinema. You've come a long way. How do you see cinema of today, especially the Hindi cinema scenario of today? How do you look at them?
I think the best way to look at it is today's audiences and their educational levels and their exposure to the world is quite different. So we are seeing a change, but at the same time, we have to remember that we are competing with ourselves on television, on OTT, on all these are a part of the audiovisual entertainment. And yet, a lot of people might say today, I would rather sit at home and watch it on where it comes on OTT or.
There are so many sources to watch it from.
Yeah, so you don't
People
have to
so
go to
many
the theater.
options. Like, for example, during the Sholay time, audience, if they really wanted to see a moving picture,
They had to
go to the movie hall. There was no other way.
There you are.
But now they have so many options, and with a click of a hand.
Exactly.
So, what do you think about the modern technology of filmmaking? I mean, do you take it as a progressive change, or?
Yes, any technology improvements that help and aid a filmmaker should be welcomed. Now, do they take away from you as a maker? I think they're meant to enhance your work. I think anything you think of and you want to do special effects, it's only going to help what your vision is. If it is taken in that light, and you do not make the mistake of letting it take over the storytelling or the thrust of the film and the emotions of the film, you don't allow these to be taking over that, then you're okay. You've got to create that balance.
But in those olden days, like director used to be like almost 95% in charge of the project. How you're going to film it, how he's going to frame it, how he's going to present it. But now the directors have to work in coordination with so many different technical departments and engineers and special effect people that the share of the director is just limited to maybe just an imagination or the concept of how he wants to do it, and the other people put it together. How do you see this?
It is a bit. It gets you a bit. But I think, as I said, sensibility prevails. That you try to create that balance between technology and the real thing. And the actors today, if they find there is a good maker, I'm sure you as an actor would be happy to have a good director with you. He can only help and guide a little more. You're going to ultimately take, as you yourself said, he gets the maximum appreciation goes to the actor. So it's as a maker, you just have to just make that compromise in your mind that it is a medium. You can do a lot with it, with all these new technology things. Take it in the positive way and use it to help you. Now, if you have a crowd of horses coming in, and you have 4 horses you use who are good, and you add to those horses, it'll like a herd of
104 horses.
That's it. So it's the advantage is there if you use it correctly. And if you unnecessarily use technology, you're going to.
If you had the advantage of using this technology while making Sholay, would Sholay would have been any different?
A damn good question, and I don't have an answer.
No, but it's done. It's printed. It's a history, and it's a hallmark, like I said.
Oh, thank you so much.
Another question that I wanted to ask you was that you represent Hindi cinema, and most of the Hindi cinemas are like star-driven, and they're the main attractions, and the unique selling point of a film actually becomes the stars and all that. How important is it in your view that does an actor transform himself or herself completely into a character, or does the actor bring his own essence to every role? Does the part of the actor has to be alive in every role, especially the star-driven, or they can succumb themselves totally into a character?
I think mostly they can. I think a very, very particular character which calls for a change of image the actor is excited about playing something entirely different, and the director feels that this is an actor who can, because he's such a good actor, he'll be able to deliver in this kind of a role. Then they work together to change that image which was existent before that. But most of the time, it's the image that is created. You, in a sense,
that has to be visible somewhere as well, along with the character.
Yes.
You cannot like totally hide inside the character and lose your sense. Yeah, I guess that's the commercial aspect of
that's commercial cinema.
Hindi cinema. And right from day one, you did a project like Sholay, which was absolutely a mind-blowing project of your time, and you sort of played in abundance in terms of, relatively, in terms of whether budget or your writers or your technicians. When do you think the creativity actually flourishes? Is it in abundance or in limitation?
No, I think while making the film, Sholay grew as we were making it. And not that the lines changed very much, a word here or there, fine. But when Dharmendraji goes up on that tank, now, it's not exactly word by word what was written for him. Then there was improvisation as well. And it had to be because he's in that mood. So that was a combination of the character as well as the actor and the lines and his performance. And it just all came together so beautifully that today it's a scene which is remembered. And that goes for Mr. Bachchan as well.
What I wanted to ask you was does your creativity gets limited if you're working within a limited budget, within limited resources? Does that hamper your creativity as a filmmaker, as opposed to when you have?
Unfortunately, my experience is that I had a budget for Sholay, 1 crore, because my previous film, Sita Aur Geeta, cost 50 lakhs. So we said, let's be a bit large-hearted, keep 1 crore for this.
But for 73, that was a lot of money. For 1973, that was a lot of money.
Yes, but it went on to cost 3 crores. Because it went on and on. Because I've said this before, but shooting the massacre scene of Sanjeev Kumar's family, the Thakur's family, I started to shoot, and after 2 days, the clouds came and the sun went away. So we sat for a day. In those days, the film was such that you could not do anything about it. You had to get some sunlight. You couldn't match it like you do in post-production, as you say. Correct? So otherwise you could have fiddled with it in post-production. But no. And on the 4th day, clouds again. So I asked the cameraman, because the mind started to work. And the texture of the scene changed. I said, if I do it like this, I'll be able to build that, the little wind, and it changed only in terms of what the, not that the dialogues were changed or anything like that. But the sense of it, the point is it cost me 21 days of shooting because of the weather. I had to wait for the cloudy weather. Then we started to make some thin covers on top to filter, if the sun is there, how to filter it on the sets. Things like that were improvised, and we were able to shoot it. And ultimately, there was no other way but to spend more time and money trying to get what you want.
Right. But did you feel that you were taking a risk in terms of money? Like,
I tried not to think about it.
right.
And my father never said a word to me, what are you doing? So that's where I was very lucky. He just let me do what I was doing. He had the confidence that I was doing the right thing.
Let me ask you a hypothetical question. I mean, suppose you've spent so much of money, so much of time, so much of energy into this dream project of yours, Sholay. And if it had failed miserably in the box office,
I wouldn't be here then.
so there is no such thing as like taking things with a pinch of salt and getting up and moving up again. Can that happen to a filmmaker? When a dream project fails,
Yes, it can.
and he still retains the energy to continue,
Yes,
to stand up and
it
move?
can happen, but it will affect his confidence also.
Do you know anyone that you know like that in Hindi cinema?
No, I'm sure there must be people who have felt this. People start to abandon you financially or in different ways. You find even actors then dropping out from projects. These things do happen. It's not.
How much of a burden is it when you lose a lot of money in a film? How much for the maker?
Well, if it's borrowed money, it's carrying interest all the time, no matter what. So I think there is a certain foolishness when you allow budgets to go that.
But your passion overcomes everything, right? It's the passion-driven one.
Yep.
How do you think? How do you look at the progression of cinema making over the years? Because you see, what has happened is with so many different sources of viewing cinema, people have cinema in their own hands. You know, with a click of a button, they can go anywhere. And what it used to be as cinema literacy in those days are available to anyone with a nice smartphone. You know, a 10-year-old would have a cinema literacy
Exactly.
of that of, let's say, 70s professional filmmaker, you know, when they talk about long shot, mid shot, focus in, focus out, you know, this and that. All these cinema jargons
Yes.
are used by lay persons today. So
Correct.
is it a more challenging to be a filmmaker in this time and age than it used to be before?
I think that will always be there. The challenges were there then, as you said.
Every
if I had
second
lost
person,
money.
every second person in one way or the other is a filmmaker these days. You know, everybody is creating one thing or the other. Whereas in those days, filmmaking was exclusively the department of the professionals,
Correct.
and they only knew how to do it. You know, if they were talking about editing, the rest of the audience didn't know. If they were talking about, I don't know, long shot, mid shot, focus hour, and these are the jargons that the normal people are using it these days. You know, what's dubbing, what's this. So do you think it's a more of a challenge, much more challenging to be a film director in this age and
Today,
era?
yes, I think it is. But as I said, if you take technology along with you and let it help you in achieving what you want to achieve, you will be able to achieve it in lesser money today because of the special effect. Your knowledge of that technology will allow you to, okay, this I can do. So it can be helpful.
Like I remember, even in the 90s, you know, if you have to picturize, say, the interior of a moving car, that itself was an extreme challenge.
It was.
You know, and now you have so many different types of cameras available. You can do it in a flick of a
Yes,
finger.
I remember, because after that, when I made Shan, that started to happen. I used to sit on the bonnet of the car, facing the actor behind the wheel, and the co-artist with the actor in front, and you're going through, and the crowds, you have to avoid the crowds because you'll see them. So all these factors were there, and it was very difficult to shoot within the city. And all my work on Shan was in the city, on the docks, in the streets, on those car chases and everything. What would normally have taken 3-4 days to shoot took again 20 days, 25 days to get it right.
And the audience were pretty naive about the
Yeah,
making
the
as well.
difficulties, they don't see the difficulties, they see the end product.
That's why the word, the cinematic liberty used to be very famous those days, because
Absolutely
you
right.
can fool your audience.
Absolutely correct. You got it.
Which is probably not possible these days, yeah. Yeah, the difference today is that, people want to watch larger than life and extraordinary things on the screen, but at the same time, they demand that it should be believable. Even if it is done extraordinarily, larger than life way, the audience still wants to know that it has to be presented in such a way that it's believable. That's
Correct.
They don't see any mistakes in there, so it has to be flawless today. And the technology has probably helped that.
That has, yes, it definitely has. Yeah, but each time, even then, when the back projection came in first, for the first time, that was a technological advance. It did help a lot.
Especially in a moving objects, yeah.
Yes. But there you could see technically that it was, if you were very sharp, you could tell it's done on a back projection screen, because you didn't have enough maneuverability. Just the back window, the back glass, the back of the car, the rear glass would allow you to, so your blue screen was behind it, and that's how.
But the general audience had no idea how it has been done,
Yes.
And that's probably what
Now
keeps
they
them
all
hooked.
know, as you say.
Now they all know. They know everything about filmmaking. So this is what I feel nowadays. If you're a filmmaker these days, you have to be a notch higher than the average person, because everyone knows about filmmaking. Everybody knows how to make a moving picture. Everybody knows about editing. Everybody knows about how to put good visuals together. So in order to be a good filmmaker, one has to be few notches higher than the normal people.
Yes, you got it right. You hit it on the spot. It is so easy, and they know all about it. So when they see, oh, this must have been done like this, and this must have been done like that. And yet, when the audience comes into a theater to watch the film, they are ready to watch. It's not, they haven't come there to criticize it. They really want to appreciate it, otherwise they wouldn't spend that 500,000, 1,500 bucks for a ticket. In the days of Sholay, it was 2 rupees, 3 rupees, and 4 rupees.
Don't you think the movie viewing culture has changed drastically? Like
Yes.
those days when you were making Sholay, film used to be actually the cheapest form of entertainment.
Absolutely.
And now it's not so cheap form of
Not at
entertainment
all.
at all. So how do you see that? I mean, once upon a time, cinema was, accessible to every layperson. A person who labors on the street throughout the day is looking forward to go and watch a film in an air-conditioned movie hall and just have a good time. Whereas today, maybe some of the movie theaters are off-limit to people of certain income groups.
That's true.
So how do you see this transformation?
Yes, but theaters are also doing things now to, you come on a particular day, the ticket is much lower. They have these incentives, or you go there, you get a Coke or a thing extra. There are ways of getting around that. So it makes it a little more easier for certain audiences who would not be able to afford it to come in and get a pleasure of the big screen.
Yeah, this is what I have distinctly noticed. It's not just in India, even here in Nepal. Earlier when we used to go to the movie hall, the representation was mostly of the average person of that society or that country. But now you go to one of these fancy movie halls in the city, and then you see it's a completely different a class of people representing as an audience. That is something distinctly I have noticed over the period of time.
What we do have is most of the screens are like that now. There are a few single cinemas still in existence, and that audience still goes there, and the rates are also lower there. But yes, it's a big problem.
And as far as the content of the Hindi cinema goes nowadays, or the storyline of Hindi cinema, do you think that has gone through changes over the period? Like the kind of story you would want to make into a film in the 70s as opposed to now?
I don't think that at its core it's different. You see Dhurandhar today?
Just the presentation has changed a lot.
He's made a wonderful film, but he's used what we are talking about. He's used technology as well as the real thing, and he's made a wonderful combination. But it is all action and blood and gore, and it's been presented in a way that is palatable. And this is a bigger hit than just a family story or a. So this is how.
So that is immutable truth. That's an unchanging truth over the years. The content of the story.
Yes.
The technology might help it to bring it into
That's
a different scale and different presentation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I guess cinema is all about human emotions and human expressions, and human emotions and expressions probably don't change.
And they're
people
forever.
feel the same way.
Yeah, you don't. If you love someone, you love someone. It's not
You're
like
angry at someone, you're angry at someone.
And you're angry, absolutely.
Whether you're a man at 70s or the man of today's age.
Something will take you to that intolerable level. It's bound to.
This is what I always felt, everything is changeable. Like over the years, place might change, cities might change, society might change, but the emotion remains intact, the way our great-grandfather felt when they were in love is the same kind of emotions that we feel today. The way they reacted when they were angry, we react in a more or less same way, So the human emotion is, I think, the only thing which is permanent in this ever-changing world,
Yes, I think that's my take. I mean, I'm sure most of the people will agree. I have no problem with those who don't. I carry my convictions with myself, and as you would always do for yourself, and each one does for themselves. I think it's fair.
I see you have your lovely wife here in the audience as well.
Absolutely, Kiran. Hi.
How did that come about? I mean, she was an actress of her own standing. I do remember that. And how did that come about? Was it like love at first sight, or was it something that grew over the years?
No,
just on a personal
note. Met her on the sets of Bunyad. She came for a role, the Veerawali role, and I liked what I saw, and then it was during work,
I just noticed you mentioned Bunyad. From all this larger-than-life project, how did you get into television all of a sudden? Especially in those days. I mean, Bunyad was in Doordarshan, right?
Yes.
Before the cable television and multi-channel.
Yes.
So how did that come about? I mean, how was that transformation made?
Actually, some of the DD officials at that time suggested to my father, because he had a good rapport with the government, and they said, we've launched this channel, but we need some good material on it. Can you think of something you can... And the writer who had written an earlier...
story revolved around partition, right?
Yes.
India,
What I'm saying is,
partition.
the writer of Bunyad was a writer who had done an earlier film, earlier series, Hum Log. Yes, just about the first. So, as I got to know that writer, I felt a kind of a pulse that it's going to, this guy knows what he's talking about. So when it was set in partition and those, he was able to come up with a script which I liked. And I said, okay, let's go. It was a whole different kind of movie making. It was not movies, it was every episode, if you could leave it on a little.
And you must have shot in video cameras or
the first 26 episodes I shot on film, 16 mm film, and then switched to the
videos.
Yeah.
And that was, how many series was it? Like how long?
105 episodes.
105. So that's what, like over a year? Over
a year,
over a year.
Twice a week, 52 weeks, 104 episodes.
Was that a profitable venture?
Yes,
it was, okay.
It did well. In the beginning we lost a lot of money, but started to pick up. And because we got into control of the shooting time, and then we were able to bring it out at a fairly commercial kind of income, cost to income, we were able to balance it well.
So that was the only television venture that you attempted?
No, I did one more. After that I made a film. Then after that film I did one again for the DD started the morning thing.
Oh yeah, the morning segment.
Morning segment. That's where I made something called Kismat. So that was also, that did well. Then later on, went to do a film, a series called Gatha, which was also 100 episodes, just a little bit less than that. But that actually was on Star Plus. Now Star Plus, the audience was not a needy audience. It was Star Plus had not made a dent in the...
So they were just coming in?
Yes.
Star Plus, okay. And that took the television industry a notch higher.
Then Star Plus, once the
you had your
Saas Bahu thing came in.
Yeah, and then you have
it went
ZTV
crazy.
and whatnot, and much later after that. Before we part, Rameshji, I mean, we talked a lot about Sholay, but I would also like to talk about your other very, very popular film like Shahan, Shakti, Trishul. These are all yours, right?
Not Trishul.
Not Trishul.
Shahan, Shakti, Sagar.
Sagar, yeah, right, exactly, Sagar. Tell us about that. Sagar is what? Rishi Kapoor and Kamal Hassan ji?
Kamal Hassan, Rishi Kapoor, and
Dimple.
Dimple, yeah.
That was a combination of that time as well, like getting Kamal Hassan from South, and then you have
Absolutely.
this lover boy image of Rishi Kapoor, and Dimple was almost, she was taking a sabbatical, and you...
Yeah, she did only one film first.
You woke her up and brought her to the set. How did that come about?
Again, we decided, because I like to do each film different from my previous film. So Shakti was a drama, father and son. So
yeah, you brought in Dilip Kumarji with Amitabh Bachchan, which was also another huge step.
And then I felt maybe a love story. Let's think of something which is different. Discussed it with Javed Sahab. Unfortunately, they had split at that time, Salim Javed. So Javed, then let's do a triangle, but it was just a thought. It was not a script. So by the time we got the script together and started shooting, it took about a year. It took about a year for that to happen. And then we, a lot of it was made on the set, in the sets, improvisations and how it would be. Because Kamal Hassan, I found, was an actor so full of himself that, and he was so right in the way he did things, in the sense, sir, can I do it like this? Only if you feel that it's okay, then I can, and he would do it in a certain way. It was written in a certain way, and he did it a little differently.
As opposed to Rishi Kapoorji, who's very spontaneous and...
Yeah, he's simple. And because his role was like that. But him, he's part of the village, he's jumping around, he's got... So all that energy was his. He brought that extra energy to the character. So that's how actors also do when they make it their own and bring something extra out of it. You got to, and you got to be prepared to accept that. As a director, you must. Otherwise, if I had said no, he would have been normal. But it may not have been the performance it was.
True. Now, before I let you go, it's such a pleasure talking to you in such a casual way, just having a conversation. Before I let you go, how's life now? What are you doing now? And what do you...
I am thinking of a project, which hopefully, if it all works out in the next month or two, then by the end of the year I might shoot. It's not a big budget or a huge thing, but it's set in a place called Mathura in UP. It's set over there with characters from there. So I think if all works out, then I should be on that.
I wish you all the best, and may you have a very long and healthy life and creative life. And
thank you so much.
And don't let your passion go away. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's absolutely a pleasure. I'll just take about a few more minutes of your time. I'm just going to open the floor to the audience if they have any questions or if they want to interact with
Sorry
you.
about that, audience. Please, please, please. People can't forget Gabbar.
Yeah.
So I better not go near Gabbar. So this, including the head, was also clear. Yeah. So completely bald shaven and everything.
Yeah. And what I remember about that movie also now was, I think the handsome Khan, Mazhar Khan, I think was his name,
Yes.
who was playing on skates at a handicapped role. But the movie that impacted me the most was Shakti. I watched that movie with my father. And
do you want to ask anything to him? Do you want to ask something?
No, just thank you. If I may just finish the Shakti part. And that movie lasted a big impression for us, and I thank you for such amazing work.
Thank you for liking me.
Ramesh, before we part, let me give you a little bit of information. When Sholay was released, Harmender's film was banned in Nepal. I don't know if you know this. Yes. So Sholay was actually not shown in Nepal because some sort of thing happened, something that Dharmendraji said about Nepal in a very innocent way. The Nepali people took it in a very sensitive way.
He would never talk against, but maybe something he said
from 70,
misconveyed.
From 70 onwards, Dharmendraji's film was absolutely banned from the movie theaters in Nepal.
How long?
For
10, 12 years?
For all the time.
Really?
Almost. Huh? Wait, and let me tell you this. And what has happened was, just to watch Sholay, the Nepalese people used to cross the border in hordes.
Oh my God.
People from Kathmandu used to book a public transportation, bus or trucks and go to Bihar or UP and watch Sholay. So that's a backstory about Sholay.
Oh, thank you so much.
Please.
Can I ask a question?
I think when I watched Sholay, I was just 5 years old.
If it did not fit in with the Indian sentiments, would it have been such a big hit? It's not possible.
No, I mean,
by
Indian, I mean, the range.
Another iconic figure in Hindi cinema who attempted Western style was Firoz Khanji as well, right? Firoz Khanji, Khote Sikke and all that. So there has been quite a few attempts, and they did like fit in very well with the Indian audience, because even though the thing was sort of like inspired by Western, most of the Indian makers gave in a strong Indian flavor, which appealed to the Indian audience. I think that's.
Sorry to interrupt, but my question was like by the Indian element, I meant the red Indian element in the westerns, like in the middle of the quiet peace scene, the Indian came in shouting in a big group riding on a horse, the red Indian of Americans. That was I was talking about, which is not quite obvious in your movie. My second question was, if we see our ancient past, from Vedic period to Smriti period to Puranic period, we've been the center of storytelling in the world. Like if we see, say Mahabharata or Ramayana, it goes as far as East Asia. Even in Indonesia, still it is shown in like a theater, like a drama way, lila, And in West Asia also it was quite prevalent. But is the Western civilization has taken our storytelling we have actually quite deep way of telling a story. Like there is a outer world and there is an inner world. Like when we talk about Ramayana, it's not just about the Ram and I wouldn't say Ravan is a baddies because.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, my question was like in our storytelling there was Ram and Haram outside and within us also. We have within us Krishna and Kangsa, and there is Krishna and Kangsa outside the world as well. There used to be this kind of depth in our storytelling, but what Hollywood has taken is just the outer layer of the storytelling, and now we are also inspired from that. How do you see the originality missing in our movie storytelling in Asia?
You're giving your observations. Would you mind asking the question? What exactly do you want me to answer?
The inner story within, like even in Nepal, we read Chandi in every Dasai. That's the great story of Durgesh and Durga. So there is the outside world and inside world. We find this missing in our storytelling nowadays, which used to be in Puranic time, up to Puranic time also. That's my question. How can we bring it back? Is it important or not in this time? And third question is...
always, the sentiments are always important.
I was not talking about sentiments. I was talking about the depth of story, And the third question is last.
Am I wrong? I haven't understood what you...
Now the technology, I want to come to the technology part.
I partially understood, but when a filmmaker makes a film, he probably gets inspired by the source rather than sort of like going completely in depth of the source and replicating that in filmmaking. Most of the filmmakers get inspiration from different sources, and one of them could be it could be mythological, it could be Western, it could be this. And if you talk about Hindi cinema, even in a film like ours, we always have the protagonist and the villains, the good and the bad, good overtaking the bad, ultimately. So we do have that. The elements of Red Indian and cowboys, he had Gabbar Singh and Viru and Jay, and then you had Thakur. There's always that two sides of the coins presented in every film, which is probably inspired by the real life situation in many ways, I think, no?
I think so too.
Yeah, may I? Yeah. Yeah, this is Sankar Mahan Singh, and I was associated with Nepali Stock Exchange as a CEO. Now, I would like to specifically ask two questions. If you were to remake Sholay as of today, what changes you would make and what things? Yeah.
I will not attempt to make Sholay.
Yeah, and and the second question is, having your experience in this cine world in Mumbai, how do you critically see the development of cinema industry in Nepal? Not the niceties and all that. Critically, how do you see and what suggestion you give to the younger generation of the cine industry in Nepal? Thank you.
I think films anywhere in the world would carry similar feelings. If, as our wonderful friend here has also said it, the emotions and the combination of good, evil, and brotherly and sisterly love, father, son, whether it was Shakti, anything like that, will always appeal. That is basic emotions. And of course, you put in some action and drama and extra things to like and appreciate or clap on, or so it's I don't think we differ in any way from the Nepalese cinema. I think all cinema is the same. They want to appeal to a larger audience. I mean, if that's the purpose, then it has to follow a similar line. How different you can be within these lines is your achievement.
The last question एउटा लिउँ ल, last one.
Hello.
You always feel I could have done this better. But I think by the time you finish a product and place it in front of people, you've done the best that you think you could do at that time. So I think that's what one should keep trying. Today, I might not be able to make that kind of film, but I might make something else. So then I must try my best to do justice to what I take in my hands.